Tonight is the 10th month celebration at the fourth dimension. Tonight we have 4 celebrants with a combined of 74 years of sobriety. It's amazing. So first, Tommy will present Stephen with their 40-year medallion.
Let's see.
The extra
Good
large.
evening. What a wonderful day to be sober. Tommy Mar, alcoholic. This is my dear friend Stephen, and I'm his sponsor. And it's easy to sponsor Stephen because between him and his wife, Cheryl, they're all over the place. They're never home. And if you want to know how it works, take a look at this guy, and that's how it works. He's very active in AA. He's always been active in AA. This is from a group, Stephen?
Yes.
Congratulations. And this is from me and my wife. 40 years.
Wow. Thank you. Good evening. My name's Steve Ryan. I'm an alcoholic. Steve. My sobriety date is September 10th of 1985. Back in May, when we were getting ready to, Tommy referenced that we're never home. We've been on the road for the last 5 months. Probably a month and a half of that was spent up in Akron, Ohio, where we do service at Dr. Bob's house and are blessed to have many friends up there. Cheryl and I, because we're gone, we want to be involved in a home group. And so last year, we joined this group. And then in May, we're leaving, probably 3 or 4 months after we joined the group. And I said to Luke, Luke, listen, my anniversary is not till September, but I won't be back until October. And he says, don't worry, we'll take care of it for you. So I want to thank Luke for getting me the medallion and remembering me and getting me up here. And all I really want to say is that I love Alcoholics Anonymous today, and it wasn't like that when I first got here. I was in my early 20s, and I walked through the doors, and I thought, this is it. This looks like shuffleboard and bingo to me for the rest of my life. And I thought I knew what Alcoholics Anonymous was all about, but I had no idea what Alcoholics Anonymous is all about. It's all about living. And the joy has been in the journey. And I've met so many wonderful people along the road. And I'm sure I'll meet so many more. I'm blessed to be here tonight with my wife, of course, who's my traveling partner and my life partner, and my sponsor, Tommy, and his wife, Linda. And then Chris, who I just picked up as a sponsee last May, and we've been working together over the phone and on some online meetings. And he's celebrating a year today, And it's nothing that I did. I just pass on what's been freely given to me. Because that's what we're supposed to do, right? We get guided to a spiritual awakening here, and then our job is to pass that along. Because we can't keep it unless we give it away, right? And that's why I like to just stay active in the middle of Alcoholics Anonymous. It brings me that joy that I don't get from anything else. And I am just blessed and fortunate that I have the opportunity to be in this fellowship, to be one among many. I celebrated my 40th anniversary in Yellowstone National Park at the Old Faithful group in a yurt. I think it's pronounced yurt. And what that is it's a big tent, right? And they gave me this little coin, this little wooden coin. And they only meet like 8 months out of the year there. But they were there for me that night. And there was only about 8 of us in the room. But what a joy. Then in traveling around the country and going to different places, I get to go to different groups. I was in groups in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I was in Carlsbad, Utah, and so many other places. And all I can tell you is that Alcoholics Anonymous is alive and well. Not only in the United States, but in other countries too. You know, I was fortunate I got to go to the International this year. That's a whole nother story in itself, and I'm not going to go into that. There's other celebrants here tonight. I want to give them the time. What I'd like to do is, this is something that I had not seen before, but I saw this at several groups out west this year. And when somebody got celebrated, they passed the coin around to everybody else in the room. And you guys can all kind of put your mojo on it for me. So I'm going to pass it around as I get down here. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my story.
Congratulations. Now we will have Eric come and present Jose with 30 years of sobriety.
I didn't bring my specs. I'm an alcoholic named Eric.
Triple X. I graduated to Triple X.
So,
I'm only extra large.
I first saw Jose, and if you've ever been at an area assembly and you see somebody who's really doing AA business, you know, and they're like talking to this person, they got all these papers, and they're like, you know, going over to the next person. I had my eyes on him, you know, even back then, couldn't approach him, but the miracle happened for me. It was at a spiritual retreat. David F. was chairing the spiritual retreat. We were out in the woods somewhere in Hudson area and Shady Hills area, and the speaker missed the airplane that was going to bring him to Florida so he can lead us in the steps that weekend. And we didn't know until the last second. David came out of the tent, or out of the cabin, and he says, "Our speaker canceled. What are we going to do?" And that's the day that Jose showed up. You know what I mean? He just, early in the morning, he just suited up, showed up, and he led us through the steps that weekend. You know, I had my eyes on him, and here's the kicker. I went all the way out to a meeting in Lutz, you know what I mean? And there's Jose. And I'm like, I've seen him at every single meeting that I go to. Fourth Dimension, I'm seeing him all over town. And I'm like, so I got my eyes on him now, you know? And finally the day came when I had asked him to sponsor me. And he said, be at my house Thursday morning at 4 a.m. and pack some clothes. We're going to Louisiana to my sponsor's house. So he pretty much told me to shut up and get in the car. And if you know me, I got that shirt on underneath this one out of respect for Alcoholics Anonymous. But since then, I'm going to let him tell you about how much I've done for him since then.
My name's Jose Ruiz. I'm an alcoholic. And I sobered up on October 29th of 1995. I was 25 years old when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, and I've been here ever since. I'm going to talk a little bit because I've had some wonderful things happen to me this year. You know, this year has been a year of blessings. One of the biggest things that happened to me this year was in 2019. Let me go back. In 2003, I got arrested sober. And I got put in jail, in Collier County Jail, for beating up a guy that my wife went with. I was married at the time. My wife had an affair with a newcomer in AA. And I'm at a spiritual retreat with that weekend. That weekend I was at a spiritual retreat with my sponsor, Ray O'Keefe. Ray O'Keefe drops me off, and he continues to go to Miami. And when I get home, I get confronted with all this stuff. So I'm here to report to you that you can be in a spiritual retreat all weekend and you come home and you find some mess and your spirit just shuts down. Now, I'm not proud of this. I'm not happy of this, but this is the truth, right? And we speak truth here. I beat that guy up so bad that, and I took my wife and put her in the pickup truck. I took her against her will. I didn't know what the law is. I took it upon my own. I thought I was above the law. I never got in trouble when I was drinking, but I come to AA and I get in freaking trouble, you know? So I broke the law. The cops come to my house. The guy that I beat up was my wife's sponsor's husband. Okay? And it was a mess. And she called the cops, so that's how they came. I get arrested. I call my sponsor. He leaves me in jail for 2 days. He says, just stay there for a couple of days until you simmer down. Now, my sponsor was a judge in Miami-Dade County, an attorney of law, one of the youngest tenured professor. The youngest tenured professor of law in the United States, he was the guy. And so he came and got me. I got out. I did probation. I did all the things that they asked me to do, anger management classes and blasey. And those 2 felonies stuck with me until 2024. In 2019, I belonged to a home group in Miami called the Miami Men's Group, and it was a large home group and a bunch of attorneys in there, a lot of lawyers. And I was running with a guy by the name of Don Fusick. And me and Don were real tight. And Don was a pain in my ass, because Don thought that he was a mentor, but he was also a fucking pain in the ass, you know? And in 2019, he grabbed me and he said, we need to make an amends for those felonies that you did to the state of Florida. I'm like, I don't need to make no amends. I'm good. He says, no. So we filled out all this paperwork and we sent it to the state of Florida up in Tallahassee to the Pardon Clemency Board. And then COVID came in 2020. So everything was shut down. And in my mind, I said, this is never going to happen. And, you know, I enjoy going to international conventions, and I couldn't go to the one in Toronto because they wouldn't let me in because of my felonies. So Don is on me. He's hounding me, and I'm like, dude, take it easy. He's filing all this paperwork and motions and blah, blah, blah. And in 2024, my sponsor said to me, we're going to Canada. You need to get that paperwork straight, and you need to do whatever it needs to be done. Because through the whole process, I was informing my sponsor of what I was doing. And him and Don were friends. They're friends. They're archivists. You know, you can't get, you can do things in AA, but you can't get away with what you do. AA is real small. You know, we get this letter from the state of Florida, and it says that we have to go to Tallahassee. And I'm shitting in my britches. And Don calls me and he says, we have to go to Tallahassee. So we go to Tallahassee. We stay for a couple of days up there. We go in front of the clemency pardoning board, and I got pardoned. They pardoned my felonies. And you can't make this stuff up. I was in Canada with Mr. Ryan, with Miss Cheryl, with Luke, with Michelle. They were sitting right next to me. My sponsor was one of the speakers on Saturday, Old Timers. I never thought that I would get pardoned. And today that is a blessing, because all I did was I took the necessary steps and the actions that were required, and paid a lot of money. And today I'm free. I don't owe the state of Florida anything. DeSantis signed off, you know, and I'm grateful for that, you know. I'll tell you, I never thought in a million years that I would be standing in front of you with 30 years of continuous sobriety, at all, in a row. You know, I don't know what it is to go back out to drinking, but I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me yesterday. I was in Sam's with my beloved, and we're shopping because the kids are coming, because they want to celebrate my 30th anniversary. My son's coming in from Texas. My other one is coming in from Ocala with the grandbaby. And I see this freaking Heineken mini keg. And I'm just like staring at this shit. That was one of my favorite beers, right? And I look at the price, and it's beautiful, green, and, you know, it's alcoholic thinking, man, right? And I look at the price tag, and then I pick up the damn keg, and I start reading the label. You get 14 12-ounce cups. The keg was like $16. I started doing the math. For $1.05, I can have 14 cups. I never had that when I was out there drinking. And Heather said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking at it." She said, "Put that shit down." Right? So I put it down, and I walk away, and then we continue shopping. But I was fascinated by that. You know, and the disease of alcoholism centers in the mind. And thank God, I have a partner that's in the program. And I was talking to one of my sponsors tonight on the way here. I said, I'm doing a 10-step with you. And I told him exactly the story that I'm telling you, right? Because alcohol has man, look, this disease is so powerful. I mean, if you're new and you're here, I want to welcome you to Alcoholics Anonymous. Especially Christine, Perry, right? There was another guy in the back, Carrie. You know, welcome. You know, Alcoholics Anonymous is a way of life. And I made that a way of life when I was 26 years old. I didn't make it a way of life when I was 25. When I came in, I was still screwed up. But when I got into the book of Alcoholics Anonymous with Ray O'Keefe, and he took me through this process, I did my first 9 steps in 3 days. I had nothing going on. I really had nothing going on. It's doable, right? And he came and picked me up at the Sober Living House. He said, my wife is going to Mamaroneck to go see the kids. Pack light. We're going to my house to do this work. I had no job. I was, looking for work. And I was staying in this Sober Living House that they said, just come. We're not asking you to pay anything right now. When you get the money, you pay us. And I did this work, and you know what? The reality of it is I took a set of actions that I didn't believe in, and they work. And they still work. I have a beautiful family. I have a beautiful life today. I'm going to be a grandfather again. One of my buddies went in the back, Chris, went to the baby shower with me in Ocala. When we were going up there, I had to speak for the young people's group and Chris spent the day with me, and he went to the baby shower and met my kid and met my daughter-in-law. And I'll tell you, life just keeps getting better. I mean, sometimes you might be in a funk, get to a meeting. Pick up the phone. When I got sober, there were no cell phones. There were no apps. These freaking chairs, like, you can go anywhere in the United States and you hit that chair and you got a meeting. I've been to meetings all over the United States and outside of the United States. I mean, they invite me to go to these places. I mean, sometimes I just have to call my sponsor and say, why are these people calling me? Why are they harassing me? And he says, I told them to call you. I'm like, oh, that's what it is? You didn't talk to me first? I don't need to talk to you. You just show up, and suit up and show up. I'll tell you, I'm just going to shut up with this. Last year I had cancer, and my beloved went through cancer with me. This year she got the cancer, and it's been a hell of a ride this year. She had a double mastectomy, and we're still going through it. We're still going through it. There's been some issues, and I would have never been able to talk about this, or I would have never been able to take care of her if I was not sober. I would never be able to be present in her life. I mean, we have a cool little life. It's not perfect, because nothing's perfect, but, I'm here. And it's only because of you people and the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous that I'm able and capable of loving someone and her loving me, and we love each other together, and we can get through this process together, and the support that we have, a support group of people, is beyond our freaking wildest dreams. When she came out of the hospital, that house was full. That's just how AA is. AA shows up like that, and I'm grateful to you people, and that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Lily and Simone will come and present Pat with his 3-year medallion.
I want to preface this by saying I failed my public speech class, so if I don't look you in the eye, or if I stutter, if I just look down, please pardon me for that. But
And she can't talk.
and she can't
I lost
talk.
my voice.
So I thought really long about the story that I wanted to pick out for my father that I thought perfectly would encapsulate his personality and his character, because over my 21 years of living, he has told me just hundreds of stories, and they're not even like the half of what I've heard. So it was hard just picking one. I've heard so many about things he's done and just the places he's been. So I thought for a while about the one that I want to pick. And the one that I did decide to do was when he told me in the car driving, and just to set the scene a little bit, it's somewhere in Seattle, 90s, maybe before, I wasn't born then, Patrick Daly sits in the back of a meeting like this, somewhere in the back row in a dingy room. All the old-timers and the regulars sit up front, invested in the meeting, listening and everything, and he sits on this back bench with his pals, laughing and just whispering the whole meeting away and not paying attention. And this guy, Mike, had joined my father this night, and this guy, Mike, was struggling, with everything that comes with being sober and leaving your addiction behind, those mental illnesses. And frankly, he was suicidal, and he was struggling. And my father, being the person that he is, picked up on this, and he knew to take care of him. And that night, another friend had approached him and had said, we need to watch out for this guy. We need to keep an eye on him. My dad's like, shh, and he's like, no, seriously, we need to keep an eye on him. And so in this meeting, my dad sits, and this guy, Mike, sits in the middle, and there's a few other guys sitting there, and Mike just sits there just his head between his knees, just staring at the ground, not listening, just invested in his own thoughts. And my dad kind of looks, and he looks at him, and he starts singing Stuck in the Middle with You by Steelers Wheel. You know how that goes. And, some people turn around and look, and Mike just kind of keeps his head down, and a few other guys start singing with him, and eventually the whole back row of like 7 or 8 people are all singing this song, and everyone's like just looking at them and everything, and Mike smiled, and he laughed. For once in who knows how long, he felt happy and noticed and appreciated and important. And that's one of the many stories that I feel best encapsulates my father and his character, is that he notices these things. He picks up the tiny details, and he goes the extra mile, whether it's lighting a cigarette, giving a few extra dollars, giving directions to the nearest grocery store, whatever it is. He notices those things, and he goes the extra mile. And so that was about all I had. I could go on for hours about him and the tremendous things he's done, dinner parties, and all these other things, and the Christmas giveaways and whatever it is, but I won't drone on all night. I'll let him get a minute to talk, but thank you for your time, and happy Halloween.
That's cool looking.
I love you too.
It's actually kind of cool because we met at an AA meeting. That's how I introduced him to my mother. My mother also went to AA, and I was like 5 at the time, so I'm sitting in the back coloring, and I'm assuming you were sitting in the back too. And he joined me in my coloring book, and I kept saying, Mom, you gotta meet this guy, you gotta meet this guy. And so 20-something years later, here we are. So this is a really awesome moment to just be standing here talking and just to be present, I like what Jose said, to just be present. That is something that I really admire in you. So thank you.
My name is Pat. I'm an alcoholic. 3 years ago, I was trying to come back. I had gone through some really hard times, and I was trying to come back, and wasn't having a whole lot of fun. And I wish he was here now, Chris Kelly. I picked up the phone, and it took me several hours to pick up the phone. I don't know if anybody's ever been through that, but I called Chris because I know who Chris is, and I needed him really bad, and he answered like I knew he was going to answer, and I didn't want him to answer, but he answered, and in less than 5 minutes he told me somebody's coming to pick you up, and it was Sean Montgomery. I wasn't crazy about anybody coming to pick me up, but if anybody was going to pick me up, Sean was the guy. And Sean came down all the way down to St. Pete and picked me up, and they brought me back here. And this she used to run around here, Lily. She was knee high to nothing, but she would play air hockey with Eric and cheat, and I didn't think I could ever get any of those things back, but I was able. As soon as Chris picked up the phone, I was able to get those things back, and I appreciate that with everything. I appreciate all the guys. I appreciate Tim. I appreciate Rob. I appreciate Robert. Thomas, you. You know, I appreciate the nights going out after this and going to eat. You know, at first I didn't want to go because I had no money and I was ashamed of that. I was really ashamed of that, but these guys, you know, made me feel not ashamed of that. Just come with this. Come on with this. Like Eric says, just get in the car. And I needed that. I you know, it was worth every penny of it, you know, because I so desperately needed that. Needed to be part of. And again, you know, and I want to hear Art, so I'm going to bring him up after. All right.
And now Jose will come and present Art with his one-year medallion.
Hey, Dented, you forgot your chip. No. This is the group chip. Don't deny your group chip. Jose Rua is alcoholic. So, it's always an honor and a privilege to give someone a chip that you've done work with. And Art asked me to sponsor him. I don't know how many times, like 2 or 3 times. The first time I told him, nope, I'm not sponsoring you. Then he came back, and I said, I'll sponsor you if you do the work. And I would drive to this place, Sober Living House off Golf Drive, what do they call it, Real Recovery. I was going down there on Sundays, and I took him through the book, Sunday mornings. And we did some work, you know. That's the only way I know how to sponsor people. I can't sponsor people if they don't want to do the work. There's so many other people out there that need help. My sponsors are like that. My 2 sponsors. And that's the only way I know how to do it. You want to work with me, you gotta come and do some work. If you don't want to do the work, don't be a pain in my ass. Go to the meeting, sit your ass down, and try to find another sponsor. That's how I am. And Art has struggled with some deficiencies that he has. And I'm hoping and praying that he gets back on the beam. He was homeless here for a couple days or a couple weeks because of some actions that he took. And, you know, and I prayed for him and I asked him to get back to the basics, because if you don't get back to basics, you're in trouble. He hasn't drank through all this, and that's the miracle of it. Or else he would not be picking up a chip tonight. And I wouldn't be here talking to you tonight. But the reality of it is that, you know, he's persevered in spite of. He's got some health issues that he has to deal with. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a drunk who has some experience, a little bit of experience, and I can help him in the book and in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm glad you're here tonight.
My name's Art, I'm an alcoholic. And I don't know if I'm more grateful or nervous. I've gone over what I was going to say for the last 5 days and I forgot it all. So I'll just say this. It's first of all, I can't say enough about Jose. I've been around this program for probably 20, 25 years, and I've had many sponsors throughout that time, and I've done the steps a few times, and no one ever made it make sense like Jose. No one ever broke it down like he does and made me understand it and drilled it into my head and actually made me want to do it. I used to look at the steps as a chore, and now I couldn't wait to hear what he had to say about it so I could get back into the book with him and do more. So I can't say enough about him. It's also a miracle that I'm standing here today because, first of all, First time I came to this place, I said, oh God, no. I hated this place. I had a panic attack when I walked in the door. I was here 5 minutes and wanted to leave. I didn't like any of you. I didn't like myself. And I left and I didn't come back for about a year. And then stayed sober for a little while, and then I remember my last drink that I had. I had gotten kicked out of a sober living, which seems to be my forte. That's what I do. For some reason, I can't get along with people, and that's what Jose's talking about, my deficiencies. I got to learn how to get along with people and control my temper a little bit better. But I was drinking really, really heavily, and I mean, I couldn't go 6 hours without having a seizure, you know, or shaking so bad that I couldn't do anything about it. And I was drinking till about 5 in the morning, and I went to bed because I had to be at work at 7. So got about a half an hour sleep and went to work, and I was sitting on the bench outside of work drinking my last drink before work. And I broke down, and I called Jose, and I said, I need you, I'm done. And he said, I can't come, but Eric will be there in 10 minutes. And Eric was there in 10 minutes, and he told me to shut up and get in the car. And I shut up and I got in the car. And that was my last drink, October 21st of 2024. And Jose's right, I'm still grateful. I've had a hard year. I've had a hard couple months. I lost my father April 9th to cancer. He's, you know, right, I was homeless for a little while. I also found out that my alcoholism, if left untreated, will manifest everywhere. It will manifest in gambling. It will manifest in everything. But I didn't pick up a drink over it. Did have hard times, and I tried to also, I owe some amends because I tried to lean on some people and get them to fix the mistakes that I made or help the mistakes that I made while I was still making them and make them better. And I do owe some amends for that, and I'm going to get to those. I don't know, I'm just so grateful to be up here. I wish my mother could be here. She's at home in Pennsylvania. So I love you, Mom. And thank you guys so much for being a part of my recovery. I couldn't do it without you. Okay. Still an alcoholic. I met Pat Bailey 2 years ago, probably, give or take, and man, did we hate each other. And I'm talking about like a cat and a dog. He was at my chest to chin. Not chest to chest, chest to chin, because he's a little shorter than me. But man, he wouldn't let up on me, and I wouldn't let up on him, and it was, looking back on it, it's funny, but it wasn't funny at the time. When I came back into the program and I got sober again, Eric came to pick me up for a meeting one night, and he said, we're going to pick somebody up. And I said, who? And he said, just wait. And we went and we picked up Pat, and Pat got in the car. And I turned around and I said, hey, Pat, how you doing? And he looked at me and his eyes got big and he shook my hand. And we had the first civil conversation of our lives. And they've been getting more civil and more civil since then. And he's come to be like a brother to me, and I love him to death. So I'm going to introduce Pat.
Oh, man. My name is Pat. I'm an alcoholic. And there was there was somebody at I forget the name of the group. Oh man! But anyway, and he'd seen me and Art arguing in the parking lot, and he said, "What is wrong with you? Are you nuts?" I mean, like Art is like so much bigger than me, and I was just like, I don't care. The guy's driving me crazy. I love Art. He's another one. I was talking to Lily on the way up here tonight, and I was talking about some guys that I knew, that I grew up with, and I miss them a lot. They were we were street rats, and these two guys. We slept in abandoned houses. We used to break into these buses and we'd sleep there so we didn't freeze to death. I lost one of them. I lost my best friend when we were 19. I was 19. He overdosed. He was the first one to go out of my friends. He was the first one to die. He was shooting up, and he had an ulcer, and the ulcer ruptured, and while he was knotted out, and he bled to death eternally. And this other guy, Canizio, that was with him, tried to resuscitate him, and he couldn't. Earlier that night, Chuck punched me in the face about 3 times because he wanted to take off and get high. We were trying to. Me and these other couple of guys were trying to keep him away from the dope, and he didn't want to stay away from the dope. So I let him go. After he punched me about the 3rd time, I let him go. This other guy, Canizio, a couple of days later, after Chuck overdosed, Canizio wanted to go back to the local score, place in Orange where I grew up, and he asked me if I would go with him, and I was. My parents were freaked out. They were going to send me to Seattle to go stay with my sister for a while to try to. And I ran into Canizio when he was on his way to go cop, and he was like, come on with me, and I lied. I lied my ass off, and I couldn't go. I was like, I got to do something for my mother. I got to, and I didn't go with him. And Canizio that time went down to Brandy's, and by himself, and he killed the kid. He killed the kid. The kid was like about my size. Canizio was about like Art's size, and this kid pulled a knife on him, and Robert stabbed him with his own knife like 4 times in the chest. And when I was out in Seattle when I heard about it, and this is what Chris Kelly helped me with, because I felt like shit for all those years that I didn't do anything, that I didn't do more, that I didn't stay with You know, I think about the life that we all have lived, you know, and you know, Jose mentioned a little bit of it, but it's incredible, you know. I ran into Robert a couple of years ago. He was. I stayed with him, and we were, you know, screwing around and everything, and you know, he was supposed to be sober, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, went to sleep, and I woke up to the sound. I heard the sound coming from the bathroom, and Robert was in the bathroom. He was in the bathroom naked, and he was trying to shoot up, and his veins were pretty much all closed, and I, you know, just like that other time, I couldn't stay. I couldn't stay with them, and I told them that. I said, I got to go, man. I got to go, like, right now. You know, because I knew this guy, and I knew you know, what we're capable of, you know, and again, once again, I felt like shit for you know, doing, you know, what I had to do, and you know, and Chris Kelly helped me get over that, you know, because I felt like, you know, these were the guys I knew since kindergarten. I knew these guys, you know, you know, but I got those guys again in my life. I got those guys right in this room. I got those same kind of guys, and I think that's one of the greatest things, one of you know, truest blessings, you know. I have a group of new derelicts in my life, and yeah, I'm talking about you, Tommy. You know, yeah, you know, I think that's. I just think I'm blessed, and I think the life that I'd lived before I got here, and the life that I have here, you know, I hated God when I got here, you know, and that's you know, that's the one thing Chris Kelly has given me. He's you know, I believe in God today. You know, all the years around AA, you know, I believed in 13-stepping a lot, you know, but I didn't believe. But you know, it took me forever to believe God, you know, and that God's not mad at me for what I've done with my friends. You know, he's you know, he's forgiven me, and I just, you know, I got to forgive myself. Forget to do that sometimes, but usually when I see Simone and I see Lily, you know, I forgive, you know, and it's time to move on. And thanks for letting me have this tonight, you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We have passed the basket in accordance with the 7th tradition. Also, a second basket went around for the ASL donations. You can pick up meeting sheets at the podium after the meeting. Let's give tonight's speakers another round of applause. If you are willing to become a sponsor, please raise your hand. A lot of you.
They always have a message.
He wants to pick up a white chip.
Luke will come and read There Is a Solution from the
Hey everyone, my name's Luke and I'm an alcoholic. Congratulations to all the celebrants, and looking around the room, we can certainly use help with cleanup later on. It's not as many people as usual. All right, there is a solution. There is a solution, although none of us like. The self-searching, the leveling of our pride, the confession of shortcomings, which the process requires for successful consummation. But we saw it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopelessness and the futility of life the way we've been living it. When therefore we were approached by those to whom the problem had been solved, there's nothing left for us to do but to pick up this simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We found much of heaven, and we've been rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence, which we never even dreamed of.
Thank you, Luke. And now we will have Tommy come and say, yes, we'll come read the long form of Tradition 12 and close the meeting.
My name is Tommy, I'm an alcoholic. And finally, we of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the principle of anonymity has immense spiritual significance. It reminds us that we are to place principles before personalities, that we are actually to practice a genuine humility. This to the end that our great blessings may never spoil us, that we shall forever live in thankful contemplation of Him who presides over us all. For those who care to join, we'll close with the Lord's Prayer.